the farm animals, people are venturing into fish farming. I'm sure there are other people who are even considering venturing into it, but don't know the conditions, what they should take into consideration in terms of land, in terms of feed. Can you give us some of the conditions that catfish thrive, that helps catfish thrive?
Okay, every agricultural venture, the major constraint is the capital investment.
Exactly.
However, with catfish production, when you are able to raise your capital investment, and then you are able to sacrifice time, skill, expertise, and passion within the first 2 months.
2 months.
You are okay. Your production line is just okay for you, unlike other agricultural ventures that on day-to-day basis, you need to be putting in extra effort. But with catfish production, once the rudiments are set properly, the rest is history. And that's why these days people are willing to invest into catfish production. And the taste of Ghanaians are changing. And this, we cultivated a lot of this taste from our Nigerian counterparts and friends. Though people didn't know, catfish could be consumed in various ways. And so people are looking of a way of consuming it, because we used to the smoke catfish, which normally people call in tree ajin. All right, they first call it adehe. Nowadays, people know that catfish can be eaten, semi-cooked, can be even used to prepare light soup, can be used to prepare various dishes. Once you know how to go about it, so gradually, the taste and the likeness for catfish is increasing, and that's also why people are entering into it, because the market is getting bigger. And there's more room for other people to even come overboard.
Okay.
Yes, and even the latest development is that when you do your catfish production very well, and you can add value to it by packaging it properly, seasoning it properly, drying it properly, you can even export it. So people are really coming on board.
Okay. And you have been in this industry for quite some time, and I'm sure you've been able to use different feed ratios and rations to feed your fishes in order for them to either grow big, stay strong, stay for a longer period, or even multiply in number, in larger quantities compared to before. What are your feed ratios?
Very good. You mentioned about feed, and before tackling your question, I would say, aside the capital you need to raise, feed is just about the first 3 things that really makes it a little bit difficult. But once you're able to overcome, so you have to do with the capital you have to raise, it has to do with your ability to be able to purchase feed. More especially for the first 3 months and thereafter. And then your accessibility to water. These are the 3 major things, and once you have the room to overcome them, you can be able to go into catfish production. Now, coming to feed rationing, the advice I give over here, especially when I train people and when I take people through the rudiments of production, is that we have various people preparing catfish and selling them in commercial quantities and commercial sizes. You can, in your own way, also produce feed. However, in the industry, we've learned that there are some people who have been in the industry and are producing feed now, and they know what it entails and the requirements to get your feed to rise from fingerling up to about 1 month old, where they should be able to hit about 500 grams plus. And therefore, here at Papao, we rely on the commercial feed, most importantly because we are dealing with students, so we want them to learn it very well. Rely on commercial feed, especially for the first 4 months.
Okay.
The most important is to look at the fish producing agencies and then pick the feed that will help the foundational growth. In every animal production venture, it is the feed that will let your animals grow and they can be sustainable and can be on their own. That is what is important. So let me leak out a secret. We normally depend on feed produced by Coppins. Coppins is a company that is in the Scandinavia. They are scattered in Holland, Austria, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. And that company is very big. Their feed is expensive, but it is very good for foundational production. So that's what we start with. And then later on, we tap into other feeds like cycle feeds. They are located at Tema Industrial Area, and then or Ale Aqua. In fact, basically for now, these are the 3 places that we buy our feed. From Coppins, which is a foreign feed, imported. Then we use Ale Aqua or cycle feeds. Right. Now, when you are able to do that and the foundation of the growth is very good, thereafter, you can use your own feed. In fact, there is a new dimension now that people are using worms that are intentionally grown to feed the catfish. In their natural or in their wild environment or adaptations, catfish and any other feed, they feed on diatoms, they feed on worms and other things. But now people have the capacity to grow worms using organic manure. Now in the north, there is a large company there, I can't remember the name outright, but they are preparing this organic feed. They dry them, bag them, and they sell them. Even people outside this country are buying it even more than people inside because they are looking at the expenses. But that organic feed is even far better than any other feed you can prepare because this is a natural source of feed. Worms, organic worms, specially meant for fish. So that's a new dimension. Now other people also, they put in animal waste, especially from poultry, from piggery, and even sometimes cow dung, mix it with other things like moringa leaves, bitter leaf, and some other edible plants. Bag it and hang it in the water for the animals to benefit from it. So people are using various methods of, there are people who also waste feed from restaurants that is devoid of oil, spices, and other things. People scoop them, bag them, and then when they take them to their farms, they dry them. After drying, they use it to feed the catfish. And they are doing equally well. But the strain is for you to get the feed, you come to dry, strain, and remove all impurities and impediments before you feed the animals. So to avoid the cumbersomeness, you can decide to go in for your own ingredients. And now these ingredients include fish meal, granite, soya bean. You can also go for, some people use wheat bran. Some also even go to the extent of adding a little bit of concentrate that is used for poultry feed. Now, they take certain ratios, mix all together, grind all together, and then add binding materials, and then pellet them. They use pelleting machines and pellet them, and then they use it to feed the catfish. And normally, this kind of fish that is home prepared, if I may use that term, home prepared, is used after the 2nd month. So caution is most people go for the commercial feed at least for the 1st month, because that one has no ambiguity. So you start with the commercial feed at least for the 1st year, and then to cut off cost and everything, you prepare your own feed, and then you are ready to go.
Ready to go. Okay. And how often do you feed the catfish?
The catfish, when they come as fingerlings, they are very, very tiny. If you don't have good eyesight, you can't really even see them properly. When they come as fingerlings, we feed them 5 times a day, starting from dawn around 5 a.m. 5 times in the day, up to about 7 p.m. Now, when you do that, they are able to grow very well. Now, as they age, month after month, you reduce the number of feeding time, and it's a routine. So when you're doing it, you stay at it religiously. If you are doing the routine for 5 times, you stay at it, and you have to plan it. If it's 1 month you want to do that, you do that. If it's 2 months, you do that. Then thereafter, you can space it for 3 times in a day. When they are getting to the commercial sizes, which is at 1 kilo or plus, you can even decide to feed them once a day.
Okay.
But every time you plan to feed, you have to stick to the plan, because by adaptability, the fishes come looking for feed at exact time you feed them. And when you feed them 2-3 times, they readjust, and that can affect your production. So the routine must be regular and normalized. Okay. So that's what most of us fish farmers do.
Then from what you're saying, then I can say that it's actually a labor intensive sector.
Yeah, it is, but I see work as exercise.
Okay, so that's where the passion comes in.
Exactly. So passion is very important. I see it as an exercise. So once you have in your mind that this is not work, but it is an exercise that will lead to profitability or to production that will bring you a yield and an income in your pocket, you set yourself up. And once you know the routine, you can be doing other things. When it's time for feeding, you come back and feed. Or you train somebody
to take charge
whilst you are absent. And once that is done, you are free.
Okay. And also one of the factors that actually hinders people from venturing into agriculture full-time is because of the seasonalities associated with some of the areas. Is this the same for catfish, or you can produce all year round?
This is another very good question that I think we all have to express. Yes, with catfish, they also have seasons, naturally so. And here we're talking about Easter, the period of Easter, and then the period of Christmas.
Okay.
There, the clientele or the customers increase because we are in the festive mood. But I can bet with you that catfish can be sold throughout the year. It is for you, the farmer, to be very innovative. It is for you, the farmer, to be very technical. Do you take records of your clients, your customers? Do you have their contacts? Do you call them or rope them in when your animals are getting ready for harvesting? Do you make other contacts? Are you on powerful agriculture platforms where you can sell your product? Are you adding value to your product? Are you selling it naturally raw, so, or you smoke some, you sell down some raw, you chop some into pieces, you package some? You need to add value to what you are doing so that throughout the year you can sell. You can also rope in, aside your normal customers, rope in institutions like the banks. Once you have very good packaging, they can locate you. They visited your location before and they are okay with your environment and your produce. Believe you me, the whole year you can sell. Now there are some restaurants, most of them are being run by Nigerians, but some Ghanaians are also into it. Catfish that you sell at 20 cedis per kilo, or at most, some are selling it 26 cedis per kilo. There are some restaurants that, after adding their secret spices, vegetables, and other things, they grill it and it's selling at 60 cedis. The same that they bought 20 or 25 cedis. They are selling it at 60. I have places that I can easily show that people are selling catfish, which is bigger than a little bit close to 1.5 kilos, and they are selling it after it has been garnished. They are selling it at 65 to 70 Ghana cedis in Accra here. Some around Sakumono, some around West Legon, some around East Legon especially. There are restaurants and cafeterias that are selling beyond 60 cedis. After purchasing is 25 cedis. Yes. So there is market for it. So it's for you to add value to what you are doing. Now, the only difference between catfish and tilapia, for example, in comparison, is that the sale of catfish is a little slower as compared to the tilapia. But once again, all the things that I've mentioned, if you're able to go by it, you are good to go. Okay. Your product should just exceed 1 kilo and you have good market for it.
Okay, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we shall continue the discussion on fish farming in Ghana. Do stay with us. You're welcome back from the break. This is AgroLink on AAU TV, where we've been exploring the fish farming industry in Ghana with the help of the farm manager here at the National Service Scheme Farm, specifically in Papao, Hatcho. You can follow this discussion on our social media platforms at Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, and on our dedicated website at tv.aau.org. Okay, so Cyril, now let's look at the profitability aspect. You just mentioned that people buy from the farm. Usually, when it comes to agriculture, the first sale point usually doesn't get much. It's those who buy to go and add value who end up getting all the money. So people end up shunning or seeing agriculture to be associated with poverty. You know, this makes it unattractive to the youth, because now people are into quick money. People want to get money. They want to see the money. They don't want to wait. You know, it's an investment. So in your opinion, is this profitable? Because if I'm going to sell it for 25 cedis, someone comes to buy and sell it for, I do most of the work anyway. I do the waiting, the feeding, whatever, all the necessary things. They come to buy, add value, and then sell it. And usually adding value sometimes it takes time. If I'm doing this on a commercial basis, I might not be able to now add value, supervise the value addition and all of that. So is this a valuable or a profitable venture for someone who might be interested in venturing fish farming to consider?
Fish farming is still profitable even from the farm gate or from the farm.
Okay.
In that one, farmers, unlike previously, are becoming knowledgeable, and hence now they do this kind of farming as a teamwork. In that those who add value, some of them are linked up with the farmers. So yes, they come and buy it a little bit cheaper in quotes and go and increase the profits. There are some smart farmers that have links with, or even they help establish people who add value to it. So they get something from their production, and then at the same time they get something also from the value addition. Yeah, but then as I said, if you do it as a teamwork, where when you enter into the venture, you have a team, so you have your own team, but some are adding value, then you know you are in good business. However, all aside, you still can make profit. Now let me break this down for you to understand.
Okay.
When you start, whether you are using concrete pond, earthen pond, or dugout, or you are using tampolin system, which is a new system in the country, the first production is what will a little bit sort of give you an impression whether you're going to make profit or not. But I can tell you, if you do due diligence to the total production and your mortality doesn't exceed 5%, you are sure to break even and make some marginal profit. Now I'm taking my words calculated. You break even and make marginal profit. Thereafter, your second, third, and subsequent production, the money that you recoup will make you even forget about your capital investment.
Okay.
Because either to the first production you made,
it's to give you an idea.
The structure and everything took part of your money. And then feed. You are paying for labor. Sometimes you are even paying for electricity, because you'll be pumping water. You'll be needing other things to do with even electricity. But subsequently, as you do more production, you are no more building a structure. There are certain things that you did to do your first production. You no more do them. Now you have gained experience. You are eliminating a lot of mortality situations, and therefore your production increases and your profit margin also expands. Okay, so that's how the production goes like. It's the first production that can give you a shake-up. But even that, people who do due diligence are even able to make profit on their first production. And I can attest to the fact that when we first started doing catfish about 9 years ago, our first production, we made profit. I can't tell you the profit, but we made profit.
Okay.
We really made profit on it. We did it as an experimental base, but we still made profit. And subsequently, we learned a lot, and over the years. Even currently, what we are doing is being experimented by one of my products. He is trying this on his own to see how he will perform. So I gave him the permission, and he has succeeded. Yeah. All the fishes you see in the pond now are over 1 kilo. So you can see that it all depends on you following the lay down procedures, you following down and learning. These productions, you have to link up with other people in the industry before you. You pick up a lessons and you innovate. I always believe that in every agricultural venture, do not remain stagnant when you see person A doing it this way. Yes, there are certain things that cuts across and they are basic, but you also have to innovate. So you are able to do it your way, which will suit you and bring you maximum profit. Yes, so that's how the whole production cycle goes like.
Okay, still on chickers. You know, agriculture is characterized by many risks. I mean, just like every other sector, many risks associated to it, which makes people actually scared or conservative when it comes to venturing or embracing some sectors. In your opinion, what are some of the risks associated with catfish farming?
Yeah, in agricultural venture, there are risks.
A lot.
But then, for every prudent businessman, risk is a key to unlock secrets in the business. And so, also in catfish, we have risks. One major risk is that you could go for your fingerlings, and if they are asphyxiated, that's if they lack oxygen while transporting them to your site, especially depending on the proximity, you could have high rate of mortality. At times, the mortality could be as huge as 70%.
Oh, wow.
And that is where you have a problem. Number two, if there is an epidemic, which you are unaware, that could also lead to mortalities and is one risk. Or if there is a kind of internal problem with your structure, that could make some of the fingerlings escape. It's a risk. And so maintenance of the structure is also important. After every harvesting, you look and see what is happening, and then you continue with your production.
Okay. So what are some of the risks in terms of diseases? What are some of the possible ones that one should look out for, and what are some of the measures that can be put in place to ensure that these things are counted or prevented?
In fact, diseases are also part of the risks.
Yes.
And the basic ones normally associated with catfish production have to do with bacteria and fungal infections. The bacteria and fungal infections come in this way. If your sanitation or the sanitation of your environs is not very good, you could encounter problems with bacteria and fungal infection. In that, reptiles and birds in the environment can pick it from outside and put it in the water, and then thereby disrupting the health of the animals. At times too, there could be occasional challenge with the feed. There could be a challenge in the feed. It could be fungi or it could be bacteria, and that goes a long way to affect the feed production. So basically, it is the fungal and the bacteria infections that are the most things. And as they grow, sometimes they suffer from salmonella and other related issues. But once you are able to do proper sanitation of your environment within the cages, and then also monitor growth of seaweed, when I talk about aquatic weeds, then you are easy, because the aquatic weeds also accumulate dirt, debris and other things that can lead to infections. So once a while, if you see algae, green algae and other forms of algae growing on the surface of the water, you need to strain it or scoop them off. And by so doing, you are able to eliminate. By and large, there are animals that do not get health issues so often. And so when you are able to mitigate it, by the time they are 4th, 5th month old, you are okay. And then you are just looking for time for harvesting. Yes.
Okay. So what are some of the contributions of catfish farming to Ghana's fishing industry?
A whole lot.
Okay. Now take
a whole lot. We've been talking about non-existence of jobs. This is an avenue for a lot of students coming out and waiting for their dream jobs to venture into. They can do it as individuals, they can do it in groupings, and they can try their hands on as associations, depending on how they would like to organize it. So yes, it's something that can be done. It's something that can be done easily. Yes. Okay. As I said, it brings about jobs to people. The profits that we get from fish production, people are able to use it to do whatever they want to do, right from educating their children and they themselves going to school, or using the profits to do other ventures. People do catfish production and they use the profitability to do other productions. Yeah. Okay. So it's something that is adding up to employment, it's adding up to people making an income, it's adding up to even our diet, our nutritional, that it adds up to the nutritional requirements as Ghanaians. It adds up to the nutritional, as I'm saying, now people know how they can use catfish to do a whole lot of recipe, or how do I call it, menu. People use catfish to do a whole lot of things. Some people even cut it to chunks, pieces, flour them, add some spices and fry them. Unlike in the past, we don't even know that you can fry catfish.
Yeah, mostly smoked.
Mostly smoked, and that is it. But now people do a whole lot with catfish. Okay. So it's improving, and it will get better.
But upon all these contributions, Ghana still remains one of the highest importers of fish into the country. We still are not able to sustain. Is it because we don't have enough fish farmers, or because of our taste and preference?
The Ghanaian mentality, without sounding too obnoxious or too insulting, we stick to certain tastes, and then when we change, we change. So it's a gradual change, and we will change. One, Ghanaians sometimes look, most Ghanaians, if I may put it rightly, look at quantity more than quality.
Quality, okay.
The things we import, do we know how they are produced? We don't know.
Exactly.
If chemicals were used in the feed to increase production, by 4 months, catfish is ready for production, we don't know.
We don't know.
And so we're eating what we don't know. So if we can produce more indigenously, then health-wise, we are safe. Now we keep on importing because people want to profit quickly at the expense of our health. And when I start talking about this, I get a little emotional because some of us have the opportunity to travel some way, somehow, so we've seen the other side of things and other things. And sometimes, not being careful, we just import in just anything. When you go to some jurisdictions and some country, the way they rear their animals, we can't do the same thing here because we are living in different environmental conditions. Here we are in the tropics. And they have a way of doing the things, and sometimes their environment makes the fishes grow faster. They have the requisite feed, they have the machinery, so of course they could be ahead of us. But we have the capacity to produce the requirement of fish in Ghana, like they did to poultry. After some time, they reduced the number of importation. The local market is catching up, but our bane is the feed. Getting feed to feed catfish, just like any other animal in Ghana, is very expensive. And this is one of the things, the biggest challenges we are facing. It's very expensive getting fish feed. On the average, a bag of about 25 kilo on the average is costing about almost 30 cedis, some 50 cedis. Those commercial fish that I mentioned about, some are selling at 110 Ghana cedis, 120 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
For just a bag of about 25 kilos. So you can imagine. So if we do something about feed, so that indigenously we can produce more feed, then we can produce more indigenous fish. Okay. We will not be over-reliant on exported fish. Because as I'm saying, the risks are there. We might not know. And so we bring things in, and it is after consumption that we will face. There are a lot of diseases that were not in the system that are fish-related. Today, visit any of the major hospitals, diseases that are unknown, which are fish consumption related, are now in this country. Where came this from? It's because of our taste. But when we do it and do it well, our own people will also start. So it is for us farmers as well to do the production properly, invite customers in, have our normal trade fairs. Now everything has sort of gone down, especially the COVID has also added this value to it. We don't have regular workshops, regular trade fairs to introduce our things to the market. So you hide in one corner and nothing is happening. Like for example, we are privileged. People attest to what we do. So they spread the good news. But if I tell you we have a farm in this enclave, you will never know. Until somebody prompts you, you will never know that there is a farm here. And sometimes that's the unfortunate thing. We don't advertise ourselves properly. So I'm even privileged that at this platform to at least tell our story.
Exactly.
We don't know where it will end. So very privileged to have that support.
You're welcome. Okay, usually with all that you said, it's easier for the problems to be solved when there's a body that's in charge of the interests of these farmers. So let's say, is there an association for fish farmers or even catfish farmers specifically to promote your interest and then push for your needs to be solved?
This is a very good question, but very tricky. Yes, there are associations, but they need a lot of empowerment, and they need to consolidate what they are doing, and they need to define their roles, and the efforts must be doubled. Why do I say so? There are associations, but they are in catchment areas. Like for example, if you go to around Akosombo, Akusi, Ho, you come to Sugakofa, Adidome. Then if you come to the coast, you go towards, even these places are close to the coast. You go towards South Pond, Azim, Mankesim. You have farm association, Edubiase. Yeah, I'm mentioning the places I know.
No.
And then places around beyond Ho. You know, when you go to places close to Golokwachi, Jessica, those places. Yes, they have association because there you see a lot of fish farmers. So they are able to form organized associations. But as I'm saying, there's more to be done. As to whether they have a national association, just like we have a Ghana Poultry Association and livestock and other things, that one I'm not very sure. But there are pockets of associations that are helping in their catchment areas. But they need to come out big, so that other people from other areas can also learn from them.
Is there any, or are there any relevant milestones that the National Service Scheme from here in Papao has chalked that you'd want to let the whole world know about in order to entice people who are even interested in investing or coming here?
When it comes to that, I don't know whether because of my religious upbringing, but we always want the story to tell for itself. And the very people we train to tell the story for us, without any, misgivings. For 10 years at least, we've trained close to over 100 people. And there are times some come back to attest. There are some who are farm managers in the fish industry. Some are managing other aspects of farm production generally. There are some who even came here without fish farming background, but came to learn here, and they are doing very well. Without mentioning specific name, I have about 2-3 boys who are in Kumasi. Some have the size of the pond we have here, times 10. And they just pick the rudiments from here. Now, there are individuals who have passed through this farm to do internship, and they are also doing very well. Very, very well. And as I said, people tell our story. And I am sure it's because people are telling our stories. That is why today I'm on this platform.
Okay.
Because people really tell our story because they see what we can do and they see the product that we are bringing out. Both manpower products and even the catfish itself. Yes. Okay. So that is in a nutshell what I can say.
Okay. You know, there are actually a lot of, especially with the COVID, many people have lost their jobs. People are looking at venturing into agricultural sectors, but don't know exactly where to go or where to even go for knowledge.
Yeah.
Because usually people don't like sharing their knowledge; they hoard it when it comes to practical aspects of agriculture. So, do you have any final words for people who are interested in agriculture, most especially catfish, and might want to come here to come and learn?
Yeah, our doors are always open to people who want to learn what we are doing and go to innovate. I always use that word. They learn from us and they should go and do it better. Our doors are always open for that. Students come here every year to learn, and individuals too. The place is open. It's a matter of you seeking permission, and then you state the duration that you want to stay in here. Yeah. When we look at the duration, it's too short for you, we increase it for you. And normally we virtually do this free because we hardly charge. We only charge some few things if I have to put somebody on you to monitor your progression. But if you are a very avid learner, within 1 week, 2 weeks, you should be done and gone. So virtually, it's almost like free. And over the years, as I'm saying, at least 10 years, I've personally, together with the people I've placed in charge of the fish, we've trained so many people. And then we also had the opportunity of sometimes going onto agri platforms, workshops. We go for trade fairs. And this is where we also had opportunities as trainers. We had opportunity as trainers to train people and then to, you know, why people's interest into the industry. I think the last one we attended was Agri House, organized a training workshop at the Children's Park, Ifwa Sutherland Park, that's the official name, near the National Theatre. And then we were there for 3 days. I had the privilege to train people on catfish production. And the enthusiasm from there increased. As I'm speaking now, out of the people I spoke to, there were over 40. About 10 of them has consulted already. The other 30 or more had consulted other people in the industry. Out of the 40, I know of about 15 who are already doing it. So it's a matter of the exposure, having a good look at it, asking all the necessary questions, and then venturing into it. As it is a business. You take the risks, you make it, you leave out the risks, and you remain as you are. So that's how it is.
Thank you very much, Cecil, for your time.
My pleasure.
And hope the next time we'll call on you, you'll be able to receive us as warmly as you did today.
Sure.
Okay.
You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you too for the privilege.
Okay. This brings us to the end of this episode on AgroLink, where we looked at the fish farming industry in Ghana, specifically the catfish industry. With the help of the farm manager here at the National Service Scheme Farms in Papawo, specifically Hatcho. Thank him very much for this exciting and interesting discussion. And you can follow us on our social media platforms for many more educative episodes and content on various issues relating to higher education. My name is Nana Ismambasam. Do stay tuned on AAU TV for more exciting content.
Hey, so this is Dishant from Unica University Common Application. I recommend you to watch AAU television.
AAU TV is the place to be for every person in higher education in Africa. Better be there or be nowhere.
Continuez de regarder la télé et surtout sur le AAU.
Keep watching it and it will change the way you interact with higher education on the continent. AAU, great job.
I want to tell you that AAU television is fantastic, it's educative, it's informative, and it is a must for anybody who is interested in higher education in Africa.
When I was in Accra last year, I did an interview on this TV. It's a very important mouthpiece.
It's a data, it's a bank of all we need for the development of higher education in Africa.
People should make an effort to view it because it discusses very current issues of development across the continent.
I believe that the station will continue to promote the overall development of Africa, particularly in the tertiary education sector.
AAU TV provides a platform and shares a lot of information to a broader audience. So we wish you all the best and please continue serving
AAU TV,
the voice of higher education in Africa.
Is quite interesting, and it got me thinking, something that I've discussed with a lot of people I've met. What is black? And what does it mean to even preserve our identity? When it comes to what is black, even the concept of black, some view that is derogatory, using our past with the divide between dark-skinned or black, and those of us with darker skin tones, as opposed to Caucasians, as we call it. So using the word black is controversial in its sense, in its own sense. But of course, when you look at the context of this event, this conference, then you know that black is used to identify us as Africans and those who are also in the diaspora and our African American sisters and brothers. And as Africans, we usually tout the fact that yes, we are African. But I always advocate for the fact that even though we so
obviously appears that we're having some challenges with the hello Naja. I cannot hear you. I think it's a connection network problem. But if you can hear me and you can take it again, and let me see if I can hear you quite clearly from now.
Yes, so I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, your connection is better now. Please go ahead.
As I was saying, we also discuss being African. What does it mean to be African? And whether us touting ourselves as African is also the best thing to do, because in celebrating our similarities, we also need to celebrate our diversity and ensure that we do not lose our uniqueness as Ghanaians. So that's something we always need to look at. And I always say that with Pan-Africanism, the Pan-Africanism or the concept of Pan-Africanism in the times of Nkrumah have changed, because now we best serve our own interests if our idea of Pan-Africanism is more geared towards coming together for our mutual economic and social gain. With political, when we go to the world stage, yes, it's good for us to collaborate, but in the end, it's all towards our social development and our economic development as various nations. But we need not lose sight of the fact that in our collective goal and in our similarity as Africans, we still need to keep and stay true to the fact that we are Ghanaians. And when I say Ghanaians, that's for us in Ghana. But if you're Ivorian or you're from South Africa, you also need to stay true to that identity. Born from gender studies, my master's courses in gender studies, there's a concept called intersectionality. And it has to do with the fact that even with women, an African woman or a Ghanaian woman's experiences is different from a European woman's experiences. An Italian woman's experience is different from my experiences as a Ghanaian woman. So there's so many factors that even though we are similar, we still need to take into cognizance the fact that we are diverse and we're different people. And in promoting the Pan-Africanist agenda, we still need to ensure that we stay true to our identities based on where we come from. And for me, that is, and most of us, it's Ghanaian. Most of us participating in this conference, it's being Ghanaian. Also, when it comes to preservation, so is it to add value to what we have, or is it to change it totally, or is it to keep what we have as it is? I would say it's a hybrid. We should keep those who can keep what we have as it is should do well to ensure that it's kept. And with the folklore board, for instance, with preservation, what we're doing is documenting what we have as a people, what makes us Ghanaian, documenting our folklore through a folklore inventory system that we are looking to get funding from the French Embassy and UNESCO, spearheaded by UNESCO, to start the documentation process. When you come to adding value to what we have, that's where we as the youth are very important. I don't think we need to keep what we have in the state in which it is. It's an argument and a debate that is ongoing at WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, because if you do not keep it in its own state and you develop upon it, some countries believe that it means it's something new and it's not your identity or your heritage, because it's not what was passed down from generation to generation. It's debatable, but I am of the view that adding value to what our forefathers and mothers gave to us is very important. And that's when us as young people are very critical to this, our creativity and the innovation we bring to the table. There are so many amazing things that people are doing to preserve our identity as a people, to preserve our heritage, to preserve what has been passed down to us. And some of the examples are even turning our folktales into animation. We also have some individuals who have started doing virtual tours of festivals. So for instance, the Akwasidai Festival of the Asante people, or the Light Festival of it's an ethnic group in the north. Okay. And what they do is that they videotape these festivals, add all the technical magic, and now you can sit at home and watch the festival as if you are there, as if you are at the festival. And these are some of the creative things that we as youth bring to bear. And we say in our local parlance that Sankofa Yeluchi, what is ours is what we can promote to the best. I cannot speak English better than the Queen, but I can promote my cultural heritage better than a foreigner. So it's good for us to learn modern ways of doing things. But I always say, and at every conference I speak at, I say that in everything you do, add something that shows that you are uniquely Ghanaian, that you are uniquely African, to show that you have yours that has.
Hello, Najwa.
Sorry, I did not hear that.
Great. I was losing you, but you would wrap up on that point for me, because I have a lot of questions that I'll come back to you on. based on some of the issues that you have raised. But finish the point that you were just making.
Certainly. So in everything we do, reflected. So if it's just putting an Adinkra symbol in your animation or in a story you're writing, or even naming your company after something Ghanaian or African, these are things, or wearing what is truly ours. These are ways in which you, as an individual, can promote Ghanaian heritage and promote African heritage.
I see. Thank you very much, Nanajwa, for that also. And like I mentioned, I'm going to come back to you on some of the issues that you raised in respect of also, reveling in our own unique identities, and that we are Ghanaians, we are Ivorians, we are Togolese, we are Beninese, among many other things. There are those who have raised the issue that isn't that really also an endorsement or a promotion of some colonial legacy, for want of a better expression. But I'll come back to you on that. Let's go to Benin now and engage Horace Kosude. He is a Pan-African African activist and also a lobbyist, founder and CEO of Mujiza Consulting. And grateful, Horace, for your time also, and really appreciate that you've been on for a very long time. I want to be sure if you can hear me. Give me a signal, and then I'll proceed with my question.